morning, Cheri. How you doing?
I am good, Ben. How are you?
Doing very well. It's nice to have you here in beautiful Jamestown, Rhode Island.
It is absolutely beautiful. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. This is your first time in Rhode Island?
Yes, like ever. So it's definitely different. I may not go back home. So,
That's all right. That's all right.
I'll be around.
We'd be happy to have you. So I know we've been talking about having you on a podcast episode here for a while, so I'm glad we finally made it happen. So why don't you introduce both yourself and the company for anyone that may not be familiar with you guys, and we'll kick it off there.
Perfect. I am Cheri Kauffman, as we all know. I am National Account Manager for LESCHACO. I handle the ISO tank division. I've been with the company for a year and a half now. I came over from Sutton's in the industry.
I didn't realize you were that new to the company.
Yes. I know it doesn't seem like it because like everybody knows me from LESCHACO. So it seems like I've been here forever.
So we must have met when you had just started, I guess.
Definitely.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, it was, I think it was probably my very first event that I went to. So it was like, I just kind of went into the role and it was just Cheri LESCHACO. So it's like when you know LESCHACO, you know Cheri.
Yep.
So been here for about the year and a half. Love the role, love the company. LESCHACO was started actually in 1879 in Bremen, Germany. They are family owned and privately owned still. We do full logistics. So we'll be import, export, ocean. We do air freight, FCL, LCL. And then, of course, ISO tanks is my specialty.
Sure.
And we have tank competence in APAC, Americas, and your Middle East, Europe areas. And as far as happenings, we have the market's probably not going to change much for us. We've noticed that steamship lines seem to be adding blank sailings and maintenance for vessels to keep the rates from dropping because of the way everybody is keeping their inventory that they had. So in the past, everybody kind of just overstocked.
Sure.
You know, they're ordering extra and we're moving. And now we just have too much.
Yep.
So now they're just shipping them out per order.
So specific to the company, what do you guys actually what are your assets? Do you own the ISOs you're moving? Do you own the vessels? How deep does it go?
No, we actually do lease them.
Okay.
We'll do that through XEEF.
Okay.
So we, that's just how it is. We'll do shipper-owned tanks. So it's like if we have a shipper-owned and we want to do it, there's a chance, we can probably have it made and be able to use that for the back and forth of those shipper-owns.
Sure.
Otherwise, we do lease them, but we do have over 5,000 tanks in the fleet.
Okay.
For that. They are current, up to date. We have them regularly tested.
That's just ISOs, 5,000 ISOs.
That is just ISOs, okay. Yes. So, of course, my specialty is that. Yeah. So I could tell you anything about that part of the company. I can give you bits and pieces of everything else.
And is it mostly chemicals? Do you guys do food stuff? Do you do...
Chemical? It is mostly chemicals. Yeah. Food grade, we can probably do a special request on that. Yeah. It would just take some time to put that together because we want to make sure that your product is safe, especially if it's something that's going to be consumed.
Yep.
So
makes sense. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of employees. I didn't realize.
3,000 globally.
Crazy.
I know. That's what I say. I'm just like, dang, I thought I was the only one. Yeah. But,
And I assume most of those would be folks kind of in the logistics side of it, like actually getting from ISOs from point A to point B. I mean,
it's actually, the sales side is definitely a little bit smaller. So as a whole, it's just like everybody combined. Within our Houston office, we have for tank sales, we have myself and Greg Kreider. And then we have for our freight forwarding and, our air freights and things like that, we have Christelle and Kevin Sexton and Vanessa Mendoza.
Okay.
So we do have not as many sales as we do like the rest of the operations, which of course, without the rest of the operations, though, we wouldn't be who we were.
Right.
So we definitely need them. So it's better that we have more of them than more of us.
But you're not going to see a LESCHACO shirt on a truck driver, like you guys, it doesn't go that far down.
No. It does not. But we have been working with Bowasso for about 100 years now. literally 100 years. So we've been, that's who our go-to is. So we have a really great relationship with them. So, we make sure it's kind of like we're just partners.
Yeah.
So, we have no worries or issues with any trucking. I mean, things are
All of a sudden, our 35th anniversary this year doesn't seem so it seems so exciting when the company was started with an 18 in the beginning.
I
like,
know,
wow,
I know. And so we've only been in the U.S. since 1978.
Okay.
So we actually was one of the first MVOCCs here.
Okay.
So so I'm 45. So, and I just turned 45. So it's actually as long as I've been here, that we've been in the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
cool. Well, so obviously being there for a year and a half, I'm sure you stepped into quite the crazy market. So I've been doing this 7 or 8 years now, and I've seen cycles that, people say, people have been doing this 40 years, say, the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years are the craziest cycle that we've ever seen. I'm like, that's all I know. That's all that I've ever seen. So obviously, going back a year and a half ago is 2021-ish, and, obviously still in the middle of COVID. Business is crazy, at least from our side. People are trying to get everything everywhere. There's demand for everything. People aren't traveling, so they're buying things and cars and upgrades to their house and you name it. So obviously you stepped into quite the crazy market.
I did.
when you started.
I was already in it. So I just actually came from another carrier. So I was able to be inside the whole COVID hitting and, getting rates from vendors for $300 to go to Asia, for an empty tank, to it turning into $3,500 or $35,000.
And I'm like, was good at one point.
I'm just like, when did this happen? So coming into LESCHACO, we kind of, they were still kind of just getting everything back together. They did their struggle. They ended up, they did have their cyber attack. So that kind of slowed up things during that time as well. Yep. So they were still picking up pieces from that. Whenever I came in, operations was out of sort. Sales was, out of sort. There was really, you had your people still coming back from that. It was just a year after COVID had hit. Sure. Yeah. So everybody was still just discombobulated. So it was a lot going on. So I came in, and of course you're just like, what did I come into?
Right.
It just worked itself out. I started going to my meetings. I started seeing what the customers were needing. I started asking questions within the meetings, like what needs to change? What has changed from the time that, you've been dealing with us? What can I do to help you? Seemed to just roll with it and kind of took those things back to, my counterparts and my managers at LESCHACO, who listened to every word I said and was really supportive. And we just made it happen. Operations is fantastic now. We have the communication going. It's definitely a huge difference, even from that year and a half.
Sure.
From coming, it's like it's a total different company.
Yep.
It's like you have just wonderful people. Just we finally have it to where we have those people that need to be in those positions.
Right.
So it's nice.
And one of my favorite things, and a big reason I kind of switched over from more of the marketing stuff to the sales side of things, it's very much a people industry. You go out. It hasn't taken the same track as, and it's maybe starting to go that way, but it's not dominated by computers and portals and impersonal things. It's very much a personable industry. We go to trade shows and cocktail parties, and it's who you like to do business with. And if you haven't been able to tell in the last 14 minutes, you're very much a people person, which I'm sure makes things easy. And it's great. It's always nice, talking to people, and it's easy to have a conversation with someone, because especially in the logistics world, maybe it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but you make it exciting. You build a relationship there, and
you have to. Yeah. It's all about building relationships. That's what I love about my job. It's building relationships with anybody. I don't care if you don't have anything to offer me at the time. You may have a friend that has something to offer to me.
Sure.
So it is, and just. I love this part of it. Sales is what I was meant to do. Yeah. So, it's fun. And then, of course, the mingling and the cocktail parties and the things like that is just a bonus. Yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah. And, of course, I like dressing up. So.
Oh, I know. If you're looking on the camera, I don't know. We get like the full pano here, but, never not colorful.
I'm always bright. Always bright. Yeah, so like that's what I do.
I like it. So obviously we're sort of past the COVID period. What have the kind of trends been this year for you on the, managing existing customers and trying to get new customers? What have been the big things for you this year on the, sales side and prospecting side and dealing with existing customers? What are people saying? What are some of the issues? And
with our existing customers, it's definitely been just the overstock of product.
Yep.
It's, they were consistent, whenever they made their bids, and, we do our, our matrices and our tenders and things like that. They made this large like, this is what I need. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I need you to quote me on, which turned into, I'm so sorry. This is, I can't even fulfill this order anymore, or I can't continue to do this. I have to slow down on things. So there's a lot of that, a lot of just, they had high hopes and then it just kind of just let them down. So they're hoping for Q1 to kind of pop off and get back to a steady roll with everything. As far as any issues, just really none other than just the overstock of products. So, and then of course, they compliment, the customer service and the operations and everything, how it's been running smoothly.
Sure.
Since we've kind of just gotten everything taken care of. That's really all I can think of. There's really not a lot of issues. Prospecting is definitely more a struggle. As far as right now. Not that I'm able to, but it's just, it's a lot of people, they'll want to see you, but then there's really nothing that they can do for you at the time, but they're willing to see me. I guess I just have that personality where it's like, I'm gonna go ahead and I want you to come in. And then it might not be until like a month or two that I hear from them again, for a request, which is fine. I'm willing to work with that. Like I said, it's building relationships. So I continue to check in on them and see what they need, what they want, how they are. You want to go eat lunch? It's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I've learned. We got a lot of guys on our sales team that have been doing this either with TCC or with other companies for a long, long time. And, everyone obviously has the same kind of feedback that everything's cyclical. And sure, you went from a time where there weren't enough ships on the water to move everything to now there's quite too many, but it may not ever go back to that kind of crazy COVID period where the demand just rose like never seen before, but things are going to turn around. People are going to have to produce again. Interest rates are going to come down. People will be buying stuff and, inevitably it's going to go back. So it just goes back to building relationships. And when that happens, you want to be
right there. I want to be that first phone call. I want to be that first text. So that's my goal in my sales. That's just like my strategy. It's just like, if I can't use you right now, it doesn't mean I'm going to let you go.
Sure.
Doesn't mean I'm going to stop checking in on you and making sure, you don't need something from me that I can do for you. So definitely want to be that first call always.
And so what are you telling people about either the end of this year or kind of going into early next year? What are some of the things you guys are starting to talk about, plan for, forecast? What are some of the hot things that are kind of right now
we have plenty of tanks. We have it; they're readily available. So I mean, that's looking good for us going in to all the major ports. So we're having no issues with that. The pricing, unfortunately, is probably going to remain the same. There's not going to be a lot of dropping because of the steamship line issues. Q1, we're hoping to see just a little bit of change, but it's probably not going to be much, especially in Q1. Maybe Q2, Q3, 2024. Might pop off something, but as far as the end of this year, going into the beginning of next year, probably not a lot of changes within, but we, again, we have a lot of tanks available. We got you, we'll be able to, we can get it on the water and, we are in 24 countries. Yeah. So,
and you mentioned what the steamship lines are doing with pricing and their rates. That's what's kind of keeping pricing.
That is. So and that's what we try to explain to customers. There's not a lot we can do. I can go and I can negotiate with them, but if they're continuing to just add, maintenance and blank sellings on things, it's like it's causing a clog up. It's making it to where we can't run anywhere. So then our vessels can't get on any space because space is taken. Sure. So unfortunately, there's not a lot of control we can do with that. So we really can't drop rates or we can't do anything like that. So we're still at the steamship lines beck and call, basically. So they still run everything. Truckers have gotten a lot better with it, so we don't really have as many issues with truckers because they need the business.
Sure.
Steamship lines, they need it too, but they still have a little trickery, going on. And, it is the business. So, get your money how you can.
Yeah, right. Well, that makes sense. Anything else? I know one thing we like to do is, we talk about things on the podcast that we kind of wish if every single customer or prospect listened to it, this is kind of the things we are thinking about. These are the things that we see, kind of the trends that are going on that we're making decisions on, and we'd recommend people also make decisions on. Are there any kind of maybe one or two big trends or geopolitical things, or what are the biggest things if you could put one message in front of every single one of your customers, like, hey, keep an eye on this?
Oh my goodness, you're trying to to just get me on spot here. I don't even know.
We want the
oh my God. See, he didn't mention this, guys.
No,
this was not mentioned.
They're keeping your toes, you know?
Okay. I'm okay with it. Dang. I don't even know. One thing.
I mean, is it what oil prices, is that driving the cost to move goods around? Is it just the general what's happening with GDP and how people are spending money? I mean, what's the big thing in the freight world that you're like, hey, you should watch, you should follow this, you should watch this?
I would definitely watch like the global trade lanes, like things going into Europe, things going into Brazil. Watch how those rates are going. Watch how steady they're remaining. You know, kind of just keep an eye on just the structure of how that's going. Pay attention to. I completely forgot what I was going to say, but pay attention to it, guys.
on the same thing, obviously, we still have the China tariffs.
Yes.
Has that impacted goods coming to and from Asia at all for you guys? Do you see more business, less business with Asia?
We do have a little less business within the Asia. Ours is more Latin America.
Okay.
So we have a lot of comings and goings in Latin America. We're really big in that market. So definitely less for the China. Not that we can't. Sure. We can. Yep. It's just not it won't run as smoothly going back and forth from Asia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that's all I got. I don't know. Cool. Call me.
I mean, we can't let you go without talking about your upcoming mayoral campaign that I just learned about. Please fill me in, because as we're hearing the story, it just keeps getting better and better. And for anyone that's listening to the podcast and thinks, oh, I don't need to hear about this, I'm going to skip ahead. I promise you should listen.
Okay, so guys, I am running for mayor in my town, which is Wood Branch, in the little town of Texas. So we are outside of Houston. It's a little country town. And I am running against my competitor, who is Mike Tyson. So
like the Mike Tyson. The Mike Tyson.
I mean,
not just another guy that happens to be named Mike Tyson, like the Mike Tyson.
So Mike Tyson is my my counterpart. So I'm gonna beat him. He won't beat me. Just want to put that out there. So vote for me. I'm gonna be there, and even if I lose, it's fine. It's gonna be great. But yes, Mike Tyson is him.
That's funny.
So look me up.
When did you know you want to be the mayor of your town? Is this a recent thing?
I literally walked in joking. I was making jokes about it. I said I wanted to be the mayor. And so again, it's a small town. So kind of went into the office, and I'll go take them things. I'll go and take them Christmas cards or Valentine's Day. Yeah. Like I'm just that person, and take them things. So I walked in and kind of was just like, what I got to do to be mayor around here? And they were like, okay, yeah, you should be mayor. And I was like, oh, thank you.
That's funny.
Then I found out who I was running against and got kind of nervous and wanted to come up with a campaign slogan of knock Mike Tyson out. But I was like, I don't know if that's I
Does he live so he lives in the same town?
No, he doesn't. He actually is not.
Honorary?
Yeah, it's just honorary type of thing. So right. it's.
Well, I mean, you're a true resident, so that right there.
You know
what the people need.
That's what I said. I was like, I'm better to be there anyway. Yeah. He doesn't. He's just a name on stuff. Yeah. So I'm gonna be the next name on stuff.
Perfect.
So yes, exciting. Thank you for bringing that up, Ben.
Of course,
appreciate it.
Of course. Well, I'm glad we finally got you up to Rhode Island. I'm glad we finally got you on the podcast. I think it was great. We'll have you on soon, both to talk about your mayoral victory and to talk about what's happening in the freight world. I
love it. Can't wait.
It's always amazing. We talk to folks about on the freight side, and maybe 2-3 months later, like, hey, what's going on? And all of a sudden there's 7 things that are completely different. It's completely changed from the last time we caught up on freight stuff. So it's always amazing how quickly
it's always changing. I mean, I've been doing this since 2006. So it's been many, many years, and like nothing's ever been the same. Yeah. Nothing is the same in this industry from the time I started until now. So it's just crazy. And I think that's why I was so addicted to it. It was like, nothing's the same. Right. It changes. I'm never going to be bored ever. So it's exciting. I like it.
I love it. Well, thank you for coming on. It was great to see you. Great to have you on the episode. And like I said, we'll see you soon, and we'll have you on an episode again here soon.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. The material contained on this podcast is provided by the chemical company solely for informational purposes. The information is not guaranteed to be correct, complete, or up to date. The information in the podcast is intended solely as a general education aid. TCC is providing this podcast as a public service, but it is neither a legal interpretation nor a statement of TCC policy. Reference to any specific specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by TCC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Views and opinions expressed by TCC employees are those of the employees and do not necessarily reflect the view of TCC or any of its officials. All statements, comments, and opinions presented are made in the context of robust dialogue and freedom of expression. TCC assumes no responsibility for any consequence relating directly or indirectly to any action or inaction taken based on the information in this podcast. While TCC strives to keep the information in the podcast accurate, complete, and up to date, we cannot guarantee and will not be responsible for any damage or loss related to the accuracy, completeness, or timeliness of the information. TCC assumes no liability for any errors or omissions in the content of this podcast. The information contained on the podcast is provided entirely on an as-is basis with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness. Thank you for streaming the View from Jamestown podcast edition.
Like and subscribe for more.